foods they want you to eat. If somebody is singing a song to you about a food that you're supposed to go out and eat, that's a food you don't want to eat.
Yeah.
If there's a commercial, if there's a jingle, if there's a model, if there's a little cartoon character, that is something you don't want to go near. And that's the kind of decisions we have to make. We're being manipulated through our food choices. So as an independent human being, as a free-thinking human being, it should be an insult to anybody to drive through the Golden Arches or to go through Wendy's or to eat that kind of food, because that's how our power is being usurped from us. That's how we are being controlled, through the water we're drinking, through the beverages we drink, through the foods we eat, and through the air we breathe. So personally, I consider it an insult to my intelligence to go through some kind of drive-through to have a hamburger or French fries. I feel personally offended by somebody trying to sell me that
they've
stuff.
taken all the psychology knowledge and used it against us.
It's
from Maslow
awful.
to
Bernays. You know about Edward Bernays?
Exactly.
Oh my God, the torches of
Well, he was the nephew of Freud, so
exactly.
Do
you know Edward Bernays was hired by the Beechnut Packing Company to get more sales for bacon, and he invented the bacon and egg breakfast that we all eat today. That's some good PR.
Well, I've seen that documentary, The Century of the Self. It's very interesting.
Exactly. Edward Bernays knew all this stuff. See, that's when they started to figure that we can manipulate the mind. They didn't even know about the mind from a scientific perspective till Freud. Freud's big advance was he said that there's these unconscious drives that we have, and those can be manipulated. I love this. There's a funny story, and I think it was in that Century of the Self video with the cake mix. Do you remember the story with the cake mix?
Not offhand.
They were trying to sell women powdered cake mix. And women didn't want to buy it because they were like, no, I'm a woman. I know how to bake. I'm not going to buy a powdered cake mix. They found it insulting, right? So what they did is they did all these focus groups to figure out why women weren't buying the processed powdered cake mix. And they found out that because women felt like it was taking their womanhood away, they figured out, well, we'll tell women to crack an egg in the powder cake mix.
So they feel like they're doing something.
They feel like they're doing something, and all of a sudden the cake mix sales went through the roof, and to this day people are buying powder cake mix simply because they think they have to add an egg. You don't need an egg in there. They just told you to add an egg because it would make you feel like you were doing something. The point being that was when we figured out, or that's when marketers figured out, that there was a way to get people to buy things, to hit their buy buttons. In fact, there's a book out now called Biology. Have you seen that? B-U-I. Biology, which is the science of how we buy. They have it down, and by the way, the Obama campaign was like almost a pinnacle in all of this, understanding how to manipulate people. Politicians use this all the time, but today they can actually track your movements in a grocery store to see how much time you're spending at each shelf on the grocery store. And they have these new interactive devices that are being put on shopping carts, and supposedly they're going to tell you, they'll be personalized based on your buying habits, based on your little frequency buyer card. They'll know exactly what Aaron likes to buy, and as you're wheeling the shopping cart through there, they'll go, sale on Twinkies, sale on whatever you like to buy.
We become such slaves, we allow these malls to track us on the smartphones.
You'll be tracked, exactly. And not only that, but they have iris scanners, and they'll track your eye movements to see how long you're spending focusing on this box or that box, and they'll know how to position things based on the information that they gather.
Look, we're going to do a whole part 2 covering a lot more, how to address certain diseases and what's at the heart of it all. But I also wanted to get into a little bit of my personal story, because I have been listening to your show for about 6 months now, and it finally sunk in just from your first 2 points that you got to take the protein and you got to take the essential fats.
Right.
And I've lost a ton of weight just doing that alone, some moderate exercises, and taking these longevity supplements that we have at InfoWarsTeam.com, and then, of course, your radio show at BrightSideBen.com. There I am 6 months ago.
That's amazing.
And, I've lost somewhere on the order of 65 pounds or so.
But Aaron, here's the thing. It's great you lost weight, and I love that we look good and you lose weight, and it's great that you can see that you lost weight, because it's a way to visually demonstrate for you how effective a nutritional supplement program like the longevity products can be. But what's really important, Aaron, is you just added a decade to your life. You just reduce your risk of arthritis. You just reduce your risk of heart disease. You reduce your risk of cancer. You reduce your risk of stroke. You reduce your risk of dying from all the things that Americans die from. And I don't care about dying personally. I don't have a fear of death. But what I don't want to happen is I don't want to get a stroke. And I don't want to have an aneurysm. And I don't want to end up in a wheelchair. And I don't want to end up where I can't move my body. And that is the prognosis, unfortunately, of most Americans if they continue down the road that they're on. What you just did, in addition to losing 60 pounds and looking good, you added years to your life and reduced your risk of degenerative disease and breakdown. And to me, that is key.
Well, I don't like being a slave to the system either.
And then that's another thing. How demeaning it is to be a slave to French fries, or to be a slave to some kind of processed food that somebody is trying to sell you that could care less about you. Do you ever see the person who's making your tacos at Taco Bell? That person could care less about you, and you never want to eat food that is being prepared by somebody who could care less about you. And to me, that's the most important reason for not eating fast food and not eating food that's prepared by somebody where I can't see what they're doing, is it's very dangerous to eat food that is prepared by somebody who A, doesn't care about you, and B, is trying to extract money from you.
But it's really true. When I started taking these supplements, the longevity and some other good herbs too you could find, I mean, I did not have that craving. That was the only thing that's ever killed those terrible cravings.
That's awesome. You know,
so
I never get tired.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate that. I never get tired of hearing stories like that, but I got to tell you, I hear them over and over and over again. And what seems like a miracle to some folks, to me, it's just the way the body works.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into a whole lot more. You'll see it later this week. But for now, that's it for the InfoWars Nightly News. Stay tuned and visit the website, InfoWarsNews.com. You can become a subscriber. We have a holiday special through the end of the Christmas season where you can get a membership to PrisonPlanet.tv that you can share with 5 or more friends at a very good discount, $39.95 instead of $71.40. You can also get 18 DVDs with that membership, 70% off, 18 physical DVDs and shiny plastic wrappers you can give out to people, give information this Christmas and holiday season instead of Chinese-made plastic junk and otherwise being a slave to that system we were talking about. We'll be back. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned.